Okay, so the first work I want to show is the resistance animation I made for fundamentals to start with, but the resistance theme was still like in the back of my head, and I kind of also wanted to redo the video I did for resistance. So I changed the concept a few times. First I wanted to do a typography animation, but I turned out I misunderstood the assignment, so I want to switch again. The second one was inspired by the school trip where we played a game. It was called AI Dungeon, where you generate a text together with the AI. But I thought it was not the right fit actually for this assignment eventually. So that's where I got to collage. And I was just curious, to see what would happen to merge these worlds of like a 2D flat thing of paper and to animate this. Yeah, so I just collected a bunch of magazines and advertisements and cut out some parts I thought I would need later. Then I cut out the background in Photoshop. And we had to pick one sentence of a text Rolf handed us and base our story around this text. And the sentence I chose was, "The destruction of the TV screen is the only form or resistance left, as emptily symbolic as that might be." Yeah, I thought this really connected to like the resistance theme, and it was a good starting point. And then it just the puzzle started for me, bringing together all of the parts I cut out to like characters and to animate this. So once I got those characters, it was time to get the story. And I figured I could use the same technique of collage for the story as well. So I basically took the entire text and sampled several sentences and to make a new story out of this. And one of the sentences turned out to be from a book called The Crying of Lot 49. This book had really nice artworks, as you can see, and also it gives me some more context for the characters I would use later in the movie. Now I had the script, and then it became really easy to finish it because you know what to do. And he made the rest of the characters and cut out some more parts I needed. I realized later. This was it for this assignment basically. I really liked doing it. I kind of forgot how much fun it was like to make videos. It has been a while for me. I really like the result. I might still want to change some things like the sound and the animation, some more polishing maybe. So for a second, I would like to discuss the work I made for information design before Corona started. It's a work where I try to discover the average, which is a really frequently used statistic, try to find out what this looks like in non-numerical data like a face. So for this, I picked the Celeb A dataset, which is a data set of 30,000 images of celebrities. All the photos had some tags with it that described things in this photo, like the nose or hair color, stuff like that. So I decided to focus on the mustache. So I made a processing sketch to incrementally like generate this average and make an animation out of this. So I had to think about, what does this average mustache really mean? What do I want to say with this? Yeah, so then because we had to make two posters, I thought maybe I will also calculate the average for one of the other categories and try to compare those two. There's a lot of variation in this data set, and you see that the average head is just a gray blob. There's no real underlying structure in calculating the average here. So I decided to stick with the mustache, and now I want to find the essence of what really is this mustache. So that's why I also calculated the average face of all the people that don't have a mustache. And now I could subtract those two images. So the people with a mustache and the average of people without a mustache. And then you would be left with only the mustache pixels. So I had the underlying structure of this mustache and I tried to visualize this in different ways, highlighting which parts of the face are mustache parts by creating a heat map. So this is nice, but it's not really two stories still. So that is where I went back to the drawing board. It got me thinking, like, what actually does the average mean? And there's a lot more to it than just the mean, which I was using all the time. You also have mode and median. I chose to go with the mode here and compared with the first image I generated for the mean. And now I found something where I can manipulate the data and hereby impact things in the face, so like the skin tone and the hair color. So now I had to make this interactive, and it was a struggle to find a good form for this. So I really wanted to bring this data back to the face again. My first experiment was a processing sketch that could recognize faces and place the face data back on the face. But I thought this might not be really informative, and also I didn't really know how to improve this anymore. My second attempt was to use the mirror I made for Mike's class in the first semester. And I think it might have the same problems as the first suggestion. So this is where I got to making a website. On this website you can upload your own image, and you have to align it properly the same way it is aligned in the dataset. And in the last you can compare your face to the average face, and here you can interactively change the way of averaging and see the changes apply to your own face. So this was the work basically. I think it showed a bit of my thought process, and also everything makes sense, and I managed to keep on track with the schedule a little bit. And in the end I'm really happy I chose for this dataset because there was so much more in it for me. There's also a part of the dataset that's called the segmentation map, describing different facial features and color coding this. And I had a lot of fun using this for a machine learning algorithm to generate faces with. So yeah, at last, as much as I like my approach for the information design, I figured out this might actually not be the best way for each course, and might also not be a sustainable way for me. I don't think it does make sense to show another like polished work as the last. So maybe I need to highlight some of the struggles I had really during the Corona period, which was really tough. So for the first example, I have the visual essay for Magda's assignment, where I spend a lot of time researching what I want to make, and in the end I got to a nice topic, I think, where I could experiment visually, and I was really standing behind this because I was changing my concept every week. The time was up really to experiment with the form and visually. This is of course what the course was about, and I was not able to show. Yeah, so this was really reoccurring thing for me during Corona. I was really taking a lot of time to come up with concepts, and at the time the week was up, we had to present something, and I only was then finished with the concept and only showed my first visual experiment really. And the example I want to show here is for resistance, where I think was the lowest point I got, were just some really desperate attempts to find a concept and also to visually make something, switching it up like 3 times. Yeah, it got to a point where there was a concept for the video, but I really did not care about what I was presenting anymore. There was nothing useful to say about it. So I ended up with a concept for an artwork, but it was not something I wanted to make. It was not me really. So this is what I had to do, maybe try to find something to make it my own, to find some motivation why this was fun for me to do. Yeah, so as a conclusion, I think it was a really nice year for me. I learned a lot of things, and it was a super nice environment to be with, all the inspiring teachers and classmates making a lot of cool stuff. But I realized there's still a lot to learn for me, and also because of some failures, I think there's some work to be done, and also I have to rethink what I want to do as a designer. But in the end, there are still some works I think I can be proud of, and yeah, will be good motivation to start the next year.